Good morning, friends. It's the beginning of July and I haven't done a garden tour in quite some time. So today is the day. It's a beautiful morning, but first we've got to get the chickens out. Hello, ladies. The chickens have really grown so much since I've last shown them to you, and they're almost like at their full feathered stage. I just love when they come out in the morning. I think it's so funny how they're just like, ah, freedom. But let's be real, you guys aren't here for the chickens, you're here for the garden. So let's show you what's in bloom. If you're new to this channel, just want to give you a little bit of context. So my name is Kristen. I live near Saskatoon, Saskatchewan on the Canadian prairies. We're a zone 3 garden here. It's crazy growing conditions. And if you're brand new to gardening or coming from a warmer zone, oftentimes it feels like there's nothing you can do here. But that couldn't be farther from the truth. So let this tour inspire you that just because you live in a cold climate doesn't mean you can't do anything in the garden. So over here is the main flower farm and things are starting to get pretty exciting. I often get asked by other zone 3 gardeners, like, how do you have so many flowers already? And how is your stuff so big? I've got to say that's because I did a lot of seed starting and I did a lot of experimenting because I really do want to try and push that season. So these are the results. I've definitely learned a lot. Some stuff was successful, some stuff was not, but I'll tell you a little bit more about it as we go through the rows. So one thing that wasn't successful was an early succession of snapdragons. These are coming in at about the right time, but very exciting nonetheless. I actually picked my first dahlia a little while ago. I guess it was just one like superstar that really wanted to come out, but otherwise all of these were started quite early. They've all been pinched already. You know, don't mind the weeds, but they're coming along. I didn't have a ton of luck with my orach, but at least I got 3 of them. The celosia, on the other hand, doing a lot better this year, and I know that if I was a better person, I probably should have pinched it, but you know, we're actually getting some decent stem length, and I'm thinking I'm going to dry these. I'm not necessarily selling these in bouquets. Over here, we have some amaranth, a few sunflowers, and another dahlia that's about to bloom. Now, I've already had problems with thrips in my ranunculus. They just destroyed them. So I really need to get a cover over this one. And judging by that little bit of yellow, I think I know what dahlia this is. I'm going to put the name on the screen because I can't think of it off the top of my head. This is actually one of my favorites. I have 2 succession of zinnias. This is like my main succession at the normal time. These ones over here were a little bit earlier. I've actually started picking some from them. I finally have asters. I didn't have a lot of asters last year and I definitely regretted that decision. Straw flowers. Over here, we're just starting to get those straw flowers blooming. Oh, and it looks like this Dara is really close too. This Queen Anne's lace is a must grow for me from now on. Like, it's so prolific. It comes early. It was so cold tolerant. And like, these just look so pretty and light and airy in bouquets. A little bit of Godatia, doing some experiments with this. I love, love, love this color. But they can just be a little frustrating for using in bouquets, but we'll see. So for our next flower, anyone want to guess what color of status is blooming first? Highlighter yellow. Of course, it's highlighter yellow. Oh well, I need it for drying too. My stock did not do very well this year. This was an experiment to try and push the season, but I don't think it was worth it. It really, really struggled. Cloudgrass, however, Cloudgrass has been extremely successful. This is definitely a must grow for me now every year. And cress. You know, this is the Atraxa cress, but I don't think it looks that different from the Persian cress. I don't know if maybe I got the wrong thing or it's actually the same, but I love it and glad it's working out. Feverfew is coming in and definitely living its best life. Saponaria, also a new discovery. If you've watched any of my more recent videos, you'll see I've been throwing this in everything. I love, love, love it. And it's just a little bit easier for me to grow than baby's breath. But I shouldn't hate on baby's breath so much because I've actually grown it successfully for the first time in 3 years. So West Coast Seeds, thank you, because it was your seeds that I've had the most success with. I've grown baby's breath before, but I've never got the right stem length, but this is good. Cosmos are doing great. So these ones I actually did not start. I purchased these from the greenhouse. They look quite advanced, and I just had so many early weddings and things that I was hoping these ones would bloom for them, and they sort of did, but not quite. This flower is another new one to me, and I think it's called Winged Everlasting. And to me, they look like a mini straw flower, but I cannot get over the stem length. Like, it's just ridiculous. It feels like, is this a 3-foot stem? Because these are super tall. My Lysianthus is doing okay. Gave this one a weeding last night and put the ground cover over it, a little bit of water, and actually it looks so much better now that the weeds aren't in it. And then finally, I'm experimenting with a fall succession of snapdragons. We will see if this does anything. Now let's head over to the vegetable side of the farm. So these garlic are probably like the pride and joy of our vegetable garden right now. We just have the scapes, so I'm going to cut these off, and then you can chop them up, put them in pesto, use them in place of garlic or anything like that. They're really delicious. We have our onions, which are doing pretty well. The peas leave much to be desired. We definitely planted way more than this. We also reseeded, so hopefully those will come up for a bit of a later crop. This is our carrot patch. It is abysmal. I don't know, we just can't seem to germinate decent carrots. I will definitely try having a few more seeds, but we sowed infinitely more than this, so can't win them all, I guess. However, the bush beans are doing reasonably well. We still have a bit of weeding to do, as you can see, but they're hanging in there. So the kale and the Swiss chard is starting to come in over here. Like, it's not doing quite as well as in the raised beds, but still decent. Over here we have the cruciferous vegetables, so like the broccoli, the cauliflower. They are in desperate need of a weeding, but we just have not got there yet. And then, do you see any potatoes in here? Because I promise they're here. So this is definitely the most neglected part of the entire farm, and that's what we'll be working on this week, because these weeds are going to seed. So I know some of you might be wondering, like, why are you showing all your weeds? Isn't that kind of embarrassing? Well, maybe, but you know what? We have 3 kids, busy lives. You don't have to have kids to get behind on your weeding. Like, things happen. This is a ginormous garden. We do hire a high school student to help us with the weeding, but you know, she's gone for the next 3 weeks. And when she comes, I can't make her weed for 8 hours a day. Like, that's ridiculous. And you know, I try to do my best here and there. So does the hermit, but let's face it, sometimes weeds just get a bit crazy, and I'm not gonna be ashamed about it. This high tunnel is probably one of the pride and joys of our yard. I love these tomatoes. I mean, I don't like to eat them unless they're cooked, but you know, I still really enjoy growing them. They're getting quite tall. I think it's at the point where I should probably come in and do some trimming. Like over here, we have a couple of main stalks trying to all compete for attention. Yeah, this one could be trimmed up too. Anyway, if you want, let me know in the comments, and I can definitely make a video showing you how I clean this up and trim this up so that our tomatoes produce well. I'm very excited to see lots of them have some nice blooms on them. It's just also really interesting with the different varieties. Like, these ones are getting very, very jungle-like, where these ones are, you know, a little more refined. Now, I did not really have good luck with peppers this year, so these are from a greenhouse. They're already getting some nice peppers on them. Over here, so for comparison, like, these ones are mine. And I don't know, usually I have really good peppers, but these ones were just on the struggle bus this year. I don't know if it was my seed. I mean, I had really poor germination the first round that I did, so I had to start over. These Hungarian hot wax are awesome. So these raised beds are definitely my favorite part of the yard. In some ways they feel like a little bit of a hodgepodge of everything, but they're gonna make sense, I think, once they all bloom. So tomatoes are doing well. I had them in cozy coats, which definitely helped. And now I've moved the cozy coats over to the pumpkins because they could really use some help. It's been so nice to come out every morning and just like pick off a leaf or two of Swiss chard and have it with my eggs. I mean, I love this time of year. Also, this is the first time that I've had reasonable success with ground cherries. Let's see if I can find that one. I know, you know, you're a gardener when you're like, there's one ground cherry. There it is. Not ripe yet, but the fact that I've even gotten this far and these plants are this big is like such a huge win. Over here is the West Coast Seeds bed. And so I don't know if you remember from a couple of months back, I made up basically a package sort of that said, if I only had $100, what would I buy for cut flowers? And I couldn't, you know, get anything from anywhere else. I just had to like $100, one shot, this is what I get. And so I put a lot of the seeds in this one raised bed just so you can kind of get a sense of all of my choices, and it's turning out really fantastic. I'm so happy with the results. I swear this basil has grown overnight, like it's getting really tall. Some things with the square foot gardening are not working out, like this Thai basil. It's kind of getting shaded out, but you know what? Live and learn. The only thing that's not from West Coast Seeds is these rat tail status, and that's only because when I needed to get them out, I just plopped them in a place, and I hadn't decided that this bed was going to be the West Coast Seeds bed yet, so whatever. But I've also really love these Nigella. Like, they're just so gorgeous. I don't know why I ever thought this flower was boring, but I'm here for it. Also excited for these blooms. I have to go look at my seed packets. I've actually kind of forgot what these are, but they look like they're going to be very pretty. And again, this Godatia, just like, wow, this is so much nicer than the stuff that I just got from the nursery last year. Gorgeous, gorgeous. It's taking a bit longer than I thought it would to bloom, but I mean, okay, so this stuff is what I started, and then I have a patch over here that I just threw the seeds down basically as soon as the soil could be worked. And honestly, there's not a lot of difference. So I think next year I'm going to save myself the green light space and just start them from seed. I also really love this bed. So we've got calendula, we've got one lone elephant garlic, that Godatia, which I just showed you. And then some of those amazing gray poppies, also from West Coast Seeds, are getting close to blooming. And then it's just like a mishmash of my favorite greens. So there's kale, there's more Swiss chard, there's some onions that I started from seed, and I love using these greens in my egg too. There's some mustard that I thought was not going to come up, so I had planted these onions here. It's a little bit of a surprise. You know, more kale. This fennel is just going gangbusters, so much better than last year. I also thought I would experiment with trying to save seeds from spinach, so that's why the sad dead looking thing is here. And then this lettuce is just done really well with all the cool temps that we've had. Over in the perennial garden, I'm not going to show you tons of it because it desperately needs like a really good weeding, and it's kind of hard to see with all the grass, like what are the plants and what are the grass. But I'm just going to show you a few things that are blooming that I think are really beautiful. So say hello to my first lily of the season. So red and cheerful. These blush Morden roses have just been like the best investment. It was an expensive bush, but like they're so pretty, and this is the second time they've been blooming. I've been cutting them off and using them for bride's bouquets. They are gorgeous. Now, if you're a northern garden like me and you've never heard of Morden roses, you are in for a treat. So one of the things that's really frustrating about being a northern gardener, if you like roses, is you see everybody use pictures of these beautiful Dave Austin roses and these lovely tea roses, and they don't grow here. I mean, they'll grow, but they'll die. So what's the point in getting them? But Morden roses are good to zone 2, and they come in many, many beautiful shades. And that blush is just divine if you're doing any sort of cut flower work. And so really look into the Morden roses, like they're totally worth the investment. So I hope you've enjoyed this little tour of our spot here. I share lots of free gardening content on my website, shiftingroots.com, as well as daily on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Catch me there. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.